Welcome back to the channel, and today I am very excited. This feels like one of the first major milestones on the channel, and that is, of course, that I have finally finished Malazan Book of the Fallen. It is Monday right now. I finished it up on Saturday, and I mean, wow. To say that it blew my expectations out of the water is such an understatement. And then not only that, I've been holding out this entire time, rather than jump in and start doing videos halfway through the series, 5-6 books in. I've really been holding out and not doing videos until I finally finished it. And I know if you guys have been paying attention and watching a lot of my videos, I do manage to mention Malazan in almost every one. It doesn't matter if it's a Dresden review, doesn't matter if I'm talking about Discworld, a TBR, a wrap-up. I always somehow manage to fit in Malazan. So today, I'm, like I said, brimming with excitement just to be able to talk about it in its own dedicated video. And I'm just going to be giving my thoughts on the series as a whole, talking a little bit about it, and maybe towards the end kind of talk about the direction I want to take with kind of Malazan content going forward. This definitely will still be a variety channel, and I won't dedicate everything to Malazan, but just because of how much of an impact the series has had on me, I think that will be reflected in kind of my content going forward a little bit. So yeah, this will be a non-spoiler, just my general thoughts on the series, and yeah, go from there so you don't have to worry about spoilers. But like I said, totally blew me out of the water. It almost it did leave me speechless. I needed to take a day or two away from it. I remember, I finished it and I just kind of sat in my chair for like an hour, not like doing anything, not watching TV, just thinking about it and trying to kind of like cherish and remember all the great moments the series has to offer. And just if you haven't read it and you're kind of thinking about it, I'd say to just give it a shot. I think a lot of people can get just intimidated, not only by the size, but I think, rightly so, people will warn, potential readers out there, hey, it is extremely dense, and it is quite the undertaking, but it's nothing like anyone can read this pretty much. You might not enjoy it, but it's not dense enough to the point where you're going to be like totally at a loss. I think you just need to kind of, it might not be for you, but it's nothing I'm sure you can't handle. And that's one of the things is, you have to almost be willing to, if you go in with the mindset that you're not going to understand every single thing along the way, and you just kind of, I found this helped anyways, especially when I was reading Gardens of the Moon, but just kind of read through, see what you can pick up. Don't worry about, trying to catch every single detail, especially on the first read. And not even that you have to reread anything. You can definitely appreciate these books, just reading it for the sake of reading it and not meticulously, noting or anything. I actually read the whole series without taking any notes, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually wanted to, because I was planning on doing a reread, by book 3 or maybe book 4. So I just wanted to kind of read the series, not worry about taking notes, and just, pick up what I pick up on, not try and, connect all the dots, because it'll definitely be overwhelming at that point if you're trying to connect every single dot and like keep detailed track of all the plot lines. So it's kind of, you have to go in with different expectations than what we're used to as readers, especially in the fantasy genre. We're used to a defined, definitive, not only quest but kind of goal is very clear in most fantasy novels, who we're rooting for, and whose side we're really on. And Malazan is, I would not consider it grimdark, but it doesn't come out and tell you, what to think or whose side to be on. It kind of just tells you this grand sweeping story from, tons and tons of different perspectives. And it kind of lets you decide kind of where you land, and it answers or asks some really, really interesting questions. And that kind of leads me to my next point. If you've watched my reviews in the past, I was never, a prose focused reader, even after, reading 4 or 5 of these books. But I will say the prose in this and reading through the series, now that especially the last 4 books I read, pretty close together in one another, it kind of trained my brain, and I really developed a taste for, Erikson's prose. I was able to appreciate them. He's got great prose, and it doesn't take away from other books by any means. I'm not trying to make this come off as like, pretentious, or that this series is like infallible. It definitely has its flaws, and not saying that, other stories are invalid or anything like that, but it was nice, at least for me. It helped me develop my taste as a reader, my personal taste for prose, and I really ended up falling in love with Erikson's writing. And I compare it to Dresden, because I would read a Dresden or 2 in between these to kind of, reset my mind, refresh it. And I did find after reading a Dresden, which Butcher's prose are very, not bad, but they're very simple. That story is very straightforward. That's one of the reasons why it was a perfect palate cleanser. And I was able to come back to these stories, and it was like, when I would pick them back up, I was like, wow, this writing is just kind of, I told my wife, it kind of tickles your brain. And that's one of the other things too. There's a lot of great themes and philosophy in these books. And, I haven't read a ton of that in fantasy, or I don't see that as much. And it was just, once again, doing something different than, some of the other stories and books I've read that I grew, to really appreciate, especially in the later books. I don't think my eye wasn't trained for that, and I wasn't looking for it in Gardens of the Moon. So, Malazan, not only being such a fantastic, fantastic story, I can't emphasize that enough, because I don't want it to get lost in the details and the kind of epicness. And it is huge and epic, and that's amazing. But what the actual story being told is also fantastic, and it's unconventional. Andy Smith actually has a great video on Malazan and how it's postmodern writing, and you should definitely go check that out. But Erikson doesn't set out he intentionally writes Malazan in an unconventional way. So it's not like you're following good guys that are trying to defeat or overcome this evil, or these bad guys. It kind of lets you figure that out along the way, or make up your own mind, and you're kind of tossed into the brains of what feels like, what is hundreds of characters. And I don't know how he does it, how he keeps track of all that while trying to write it. But what he accomplishes at the end of these books, it feels almost like a perfect orchestra coming together. You're, in the climaxes of these novels, because you're in the brain of so many people, and he's had page time to develop them so thoroughly. It offers like unparalleled perspectives that I'm not used to, at least, seeing in any other fantasy novels. And I'm sure there are some out there, because I'm, granted, not extremely well read in the genre, but to me it was just what he's able to do in really each of these books. Come the last 300, 400 pages, it's pedal to the floor, and it's amazing. And that postmodern style really lends to that, because it kind of doesn't hold your hand by any means, and it just throws these characters at you, and you kind of figure it out and feel it out along the way. And that's, like I was saying earlier, don't be afraid to just, keep reading and just feel your way through it, because you do, after a while, you spend so much time with these characters and obviously the page count. You just kind of get a feel for who's who, and it comes naturally. And I think that's one of the reasons why most people can have so much trouble with Gardens of the Moon, because you have nothing to go off of. Most people aren't used to reading like postmodern, like this is. And so it's very, very jarring. But like I said, there's still some that I still really loved Gardens of the Moon. And I think that's because I was okay, and I kind of went in with the expectations of, hey, I might not know exactly what's going on or exactly who's who all the time. I'm just going to keep reading and see, if I like it. And after a while, your brain just kind of learns how to process all that information and take in maybe Erickson's more unique style, as far as all the characters coming at you and the loosely defined plot. Like, a lot of times it is hard to be like, what actually is going on here? And a lot of times you don't know. You kind of figure it out further along the way, and that's the beauty of it, at least I find. And like I said, I could talk forever about this series, and I feel like I've just barely scratched the surface, and I've already been talking for 10 minutes. But I just wanted to kind of throw it out there, get my initial thoughts after completing the series. But what I will say, definitely my favorite series of all time. It's mind-blowing what he's done, and I can't speak highly enough, and I'm not trying to put it on some grand pedestal or whatever, but just having just finished it, and I just have so much appreciation for the story and really thoroughly enjoyed it. And what I will say, I know these are thick books, so not everyone has time or wants to commit to that, but if you do have that time and you're willing to give it a fair shot, if you can get through 3 books, and I know that feels like a lot, and that is a lot, because there's 6 to 600 is Gardens of the Moon pages, up to Memories of Ice I think is 900 or 1,000, so that is a definite undertaking. But if you finish Memories of Ice, that was my favorite book in the whole series. I think the best book I've ever read. If you finish Memories of Ice and you're still just not clicking with the series, I'd say it's definitely not for you. I think that's fair to say, and I think most people would agree with me. But yeah, I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. I hope you guys enjoyed and are looking forward to more Malazan content. The plan, I think, I might do a tier list just ranking all the books. I know I just said Memories of Ice was my favorite, but going through the rest, I might do that video at some point here in the next week or two, and then I do want to reread it, so that's really when I'm going to buckle down and probably pump out quite a bit of Malazan content when I do my reread. I think for my own sake, I almost want to do a video diary of my thoughts on a more detail, smaller scale. So I might do videos on Gardens of the Moon, do 4 or 5 videos for just that book, kind of talking in more depth about maybe not chapter by chapter, but section by section. So I might do that, but it's still very, loosely defined in my head. I just know I love this series a ton, and I want to put out way more content about it. So that's kind of the loose plan for now. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're excited that I finished the series, please do like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.